Coronation Street's Sally Metcalf feels out of her depth next week, as she loses her temper while looking after the Michaelis girls. Sally has promised to give Joni and Shanice a good home while both of their parents are in prison, but she's about to realize that it won't be plain sailing. In next week's scenes, Sally notices Joni appearing aggressive towards her younger sister. Keen to cut out any bad behavior early, Sally tells Joni off but soon realizes that she's misinterpreted the situation. Joni and Shanice explain that they were play acting by pretending to be in prison like their mum, our Corey source explains. They've been inspired after visiting Lou a few days earlier. It's still not exactly an ideal game to play under straight-laced Sally's roof, but she's mortified to have got it wrong. Sally confesses her shortcomings to the girl's older brother Brody, admitting that she regrets snapping at Joni in the heat of the moment. Later, Tim seems to be having better luck helping the Michaelis family when he arranges for Brody to work a few shifts at Kevin Webster's garage. Despite his tough exterior, Brody is grateful towards Tim for helping him like this, our source adds. It's a far cry from the sad way Brody has been treated by the other male figures in his life, with Mick pushing him away and Kit refusing to have anything to do with him. With Mick and Lou's kids seemingly here to stay, can things improve under the Metcalf's roof? Speaking recently about his character's future, Ryan Mulvey, who plays Brody, told us, "He's got so many different sides to him and that's what makes him so interesting and exciting. Yes, he's angry and he likes a fight but also he loves his sisters, he wants friends, he wants a girlfriend, he wants to have a dad who looks after him and he wants to feel safe. I think because of what he's been through he struggles to trust people but it would be nice to see him push that boundary and see if he can trust anyone around him again." Sally Metcalf's new role as a guardian puts her to the test on Coronation Street. For years, Coronation Street's Sally Metcalf has weathered personal and professional storms with style, stubbornness, and self-assurance. But next week, the long-standing Weatherfield resident faces one of her most emotionally complex challenges yet, caring for someone else's children in the shadow of family trauma and fractured lives. In a storyline brimming with heartbreak, miscommunication, and hard-earned growth, Sally finds herself temporarily responsible for the Michaelis sisters, Joni and Shanice, after both of their parents, Lou and Mick, end up behind bars. Despite her best intentions and an abundance of goodwill, Sally quickly realizes that providing a good home for two vulnerable girls isn't something she can control with rules and routines alone. And as the weeks unfold, Sally, Tim, and the wider community of Coronation Street will have to come together, not only to support the girls, but also their older brother Brody, whose tough exterior masks a heart crying out for trust, safety, and belonging. A well-meaning promise, a rocky start. The storyline begins with an earnest promise. Sally vows to give Joni and Shanice a safe and structured environment while their mum Lou serves her prison sentence, and their father Mick remains incarcerated. But Sally quickly discovers that noble intentions can only go so far. In scenes set to air next week, Sally finds herself rattled when Joni appears to be acting aggressively toward her younger sister Shanice. Determined to stamp out bad behavior before it escalates, she pulls Joni aside and tells her off, but what she perceives as hostility turns out to be something altogether different. The girls soon explain that they were play acting, reenacting their mum's imprisonment in a game that, while dark in theme, was rooted more in mimicry than malice. Joni and Shanice explain that they were pretending to be in prison like their mum, a Corey source reveals. They'd been inspired after visiting Lou a few days earlier. It's a devastatingly innocent response, one that highlights how trauma seeps into childhood through imitation, coping, and misunderstood signals. Sally, mortified at her overreaction, is forced to confront the limitations of her assumptions and her own discomfort. It's still not exactly an ideal game to play under straight-laced Sally's roof, the source adds, but she's gutted to have got it wrong. Sally's guilt and growth. Later, consumed by guilt, Sally opens up to Brody, the girl's protective older brother. In a rare moment of vulnerability, she confesses that she snapped at Joni in the heat of the moment, a response she now deeply regrets. It's a powerful beat in the storyline, one that speaks to the emotional burden of being a guardian in unfamiliar circumstances. Sally, usually so composed and in control, is navigating a minefield of trauma-informed behavior without the training or experience to do so. Her admission to Brody isn't just about making amends, it's about beginning to understand the emotional ecosystem these children live in, and the complex ways their pain manifests. Tim's quiet success and Brody's emotional walls. While Sally's approach falters, Tim's softer, more intuitive style begins to yield results. In a move that feels both generous and affirming, Tim arranges for Brody to work a few shifts at Kevin Webster's garage. For a teenager who has long struggled with rejection and instability, the opportunity offers more than just work, it offers dignity. Despite his tough exterior, Brody is grateful towards Tim for helping him like this, our source explains. The move stands in stark contrast to Brody's relationships with other male figures in his life. His father Mick has consistently pushed him away, while Kit, a man many hoped would step up, has refused to take any responsibility or show emotional warmth. It's a far cry from the sad way Brody has been treated by the other men in his life, the source continues. For once, someone is offering him guidance without judgment. Brody's tentative gratitude toward Tim hints at a softening, a quiet hope that maybe, just maybe, there's space for trust. Brody. He just wants to feel safe. Behind Brody's defensive posturing and frequent mood swings lies a complex emotional tapestry. Actor Ryan Mulvey, who plays the troubled teen, recently opened up about the psychological layers that make Brody one of the show's most intriguing newer characters. He's got so many different sides to him, and that's what makes him so interesting and exciting, Mulvey shared. Yes, he's angry and he likes a fight, but he also loves his sisters, he wants friends, he wants a girlfriend, he wants to have a dad who looks after him, and he wants to feel safe. That final point, the longing for safety, is perhaps the most heartbreaking. Brody's life has been defined by instability, abandonment, and the need to fend for himself. It's little wonder he struggles to trust anyone. I think because of what he's been through, he struggles to trust people, Mulvey added. But it would be nice to see him push that boundary and see if he can trust anyone around him again. The Metcalf household, a new kind of family. As the weeks progress, the Michaelis siblings appear to be settling in under the Metcalf's roof. But their presence introduces a new, unfamiliar dynamic, one that tests the limits of Sally and Tim's patience, compassion, and emotional resilience. Gone are the quiet evenings and predictable routines. In their place are moments of confusion, conflict, and emotional reckoning. Yet, amid the chaos, small breakthroughs begin to emerge, acts of kindness, apologies made, efforts at trust. For Sally, it's a steep learning curve. Her perfectionist instincts, the tidy house, the structured schedule, the unspoken expectation that everyone will just fall in line, are continuously challenged. But the storyline also highlights her capacity for growth, for humility, and for rethinking what it means to do the right thing. For Tim, the role of a supportive figure comes more naturally. His instinct to listen, to affirm, and to avoid judgment opens doors that Sally might never have thought to knock on. Together, they are building a fragile but promising support system, one that could be life-changing for Joni, Shanice, and Brody. Rebuilding trust. A central theme. At its heart, this storyline is about trust. How hard it is to earn, how easily it's broken, and how desperately young people like Brody need it to survive and thrive. The writers are walking a careful tightrope here, portraying the messiness of fostering children from troubled homes without reducing them to stereotypes. Joni and Shanice aren't just kids with issues, they're complex individuals trying to process their trauma in the only ways they know how. And Brody, for all his anger, is a boy starved of affection, direction, and validation. In Sally and Tim, the children may not find perfect guardians, but they might just find people who are willing to try. And in Weatherfield, that kind of effort can mean everything. What's next for the Michaelis family? While no long-term plot details have been confirmed, all signs suggest that Joni, Shanice, and Brody will remain key players in Coronation Street's ongoing narratives. For Brody, the garage job could evolve into something more permanent, not just a career, but a lifeline. And as his bond with Tim deepens, he may finally begin to let his guard down. For Joni and Shanice, the road ahead is still uncertain. Their mother Lou remains in prison, and their future hinges on decisions yet to be made by social services. But for now, they're in a home, not perfect, not easy, but filled with people trying their best. For Sally and Tim, the question becomes, can their marriage, their routines, and their emotional bandwidth stretch enough to accommodate 3 wounded children? Or will the strain prove too great? Final thoughts. A storyline with real-world resonance. This storyline doesn't just add drama, it adds depth. By placing established characters like Sally and Tim into the emotionally loaded role of temporary guardians, Coronation Street opens up conversations around fostering, trauma-informed care, and the long-term effects of neglect and abandonment. It's a narrative that mirrors real-world situations playing out in homes and communities across the UK. And by giving these children, especially Brody, interiority, flaws, and dreams, the show honors their complexity. There are no neat resolutions here. But there are small victories, a job offer, an apology, a new game played with better intentions. In a world where too many children are let down by the adults around them, Coronation Street offers a glimmer of hope. That sometimes, good people stepping up is enough to start healing the wounds. And in the coming weeks, viewers will be watching closely to see whether trust, so fragile, so essential, can truly be rebuilt.